We have our senior compliance manager, Ileana Blanco, our senior accounts payable specialist, Alexandra Lemoyne, and accounts payable specialist, Clarice Horton. In our training today, we will provide you with an overview of the invoice process, some best practices to ensure a short turnaround time for reimbursement, and also some easy tips to help you navigate SAMIS. Our goal for you today is that you would leave more adequately prepared to submit your invoice each month, and most importantly, answer any questions that you may have. During the presentation, as we start, if something is not clear or something kind of crossed your mind, please be sure to stop us. I'll be watching for the hands to be raised. You can use it via Zoom, and then we'll answer your questions and we'll go from there. Again, I greatly appreciate you taking the time to join us this morning. And I'm now going to turn it over to Ileana that's going to start our presentation.
Thank you, Alicia. Alexandra, are you there? Good morning, everyone. It's really good to see you. I see that we have a mixed group of folks from different types of programming, and we'll be trying to format the presentation so that we can answer all your questions today. I think Alexandra is going to share her screen with us and get us started, if she's able to.
I'm here. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Good morning to you all. Yes, I will be sharing my screen. Just to give you an overview for those who do not know me, sometimes you do see a very long name. That's Anna Alexandra Lemoyne. That is my full name. I go by Alex to keep it short and simple. So will be my presentation for today. So let's start with this, and I can minimize that. Okay, so yes, you see my screen?
We see your payroll schedule.
Yes. Okay. So that's how I'm going to start. It's like a good practice when preparing your cost reimbursement salary request is to build up, a spreadsheet with your payroll schedule that will be either by pay period or by pay date, depending on how your company payroll system works. This is how you will determine how many pay periods you will include in your payroll reimbursement. Some months you might have 3 pay periods. For example, December, July, or August, they have 5 weeks. If the days that in the payroll period you are considering as a cutoff are less than 50% of the payroll, you may bill for it in the following month. You will need to have the payroll register or your summary detail report to do so. You are going to sort them by the employee's last name or by position title, based on the allocation for your specific grant. You will make sure that your support documents have all the necessary information for the employee that you are seeking reimbursement for, and the allocation based on your contract for each position. You will create a summary that will go with your reimbursement detail requests. You will also be attaching to your request all the benefits and fringes documentation, such as proof of payment, your health insurance backup documentation, with only the employee that you are billing for. You will have to redact any information for the other employees. We need to see the employer portion, which means what the company pays for each employee that are under that grant. You will also attach all documentation regarding your workers' compensation payment when it is paid. It might be paid annually or monthly. You will also include the unemployment documentation that is needed related to your contract. You can find a template in the provider's reimbursement guidelines, and it is on our website. We encourage you to save a copy and refer to it whenever needed. When submitting your payroll request, you need your pay stubs or your payroll register, your payroll details summary, and the benefits. You need to have a summary showing us at CSC the amount requested per employee per position title. And remember, you can submit that summary in PDF and in Excel to help us review it faster. One thing to keep in mind, we cannot reimburse what you have not paid. And that's it about me for today.
Good morning, everyone. For those of you that I have not met, again, my name is Clarice Horton, your other accounts payable specialist. Just so you know, prior to coming to CSC, I was once in your shoes for over 10 years, and I understand it could be frustrating or confusing at times. But I have some great news. We are here to help you. Before we begin the expenses review process, let me share some best practices. Number one, always, and I must stress always, keep your budget in front of you. Your approved budget is the first point of reference to eliminate some of the questions you may have of which account the expense belongs to. Number two, to ensure that all expenses are included in the reimbursement, gather all invoices and backup documentation that pertains to the current month's reimbursement. I recommend that you do this on a weekly basis because this is exactly how things are missed. And number three, classify all of your expenses by the requested CSC expense accounts in your budget. This is just my little bit of advice to help you get organized. If you can get this right, the rest will come easy. Let's go over expenses and what is required to ensure that the expenses are reviewed and approved in an efficient manner. When requesting reimbursement, a copy of the original receipt should be submitted to CSC. The following requirements must be met. The agency must attest in writing that the receipt is a certified copy of the original. This stamp must be on all supporting documents, which includes receipts, invoices, checks, bank statements, and credit card statements. All receipts should clearly indicate the vendor's name, total amount, and the date of the purchase. All cost reimbursement receipts, copies, and supporting documentation must be presented to CSC for payment within 30 days of the transaction date. When entering the expenses into SAMIS, ensure you record the check number or the last 4 digits of the credit card number, the date, the vendor's name, the total check amount, and the amount that you are requesting from CSC. Please ensure payments made by credit cards are supported by the actual receipt of the transaction and the credit card statement or transaction report. When using the credit card statement for multiple expenses, you only need to upload the statement one time. Please, no ads, no small prints, no advertising, no annual rates, even though I love reading them, but you do not have to upload those. For cost reimbursement contracts, all expenses, including flex funds and value added, must be supported by a check or credit card statement as proof of payment. Let's go over the admin rate. For cost reimbursement contracts, admin costs will be reimbursed based on the admin rate noted in the approved budget. The admin rate is applied to the sum of all of salary, fringe benefits, and programmatic expenses. In this example, we see in this slide, the agency admin rate is 6.92%. The rate is multiplied by the sum of the salaries and expenses to obtain the admin cost of $1,224.24. It is the subtotal of all expenses plus the admin costs that make up your total reimbursement. Now I'm going to turn it over to Miss Ileana to continue the presentation.
Thank you, Clarice.
You're welcome.
Let's talk about some of our additional documents needed in our reimbursement. Starting new, we understand the cost reimbursement environment is very challenging for all of us. For you, I can imagine the amount of work that it takes to put it all together. And you can imagine for us what it takes to review when one agency has 170 pages. We're asking you to please upload the summary of payroll and fringe in Excel and PDF, as Alexandra said. That will provide efficiencies for us when rechecking all that math. Attach all supporting documents in the summary page, not at the individual expense line. When we attach the summary documents at the summary expense with documents button, it allows us to bundle our submission. When we attach them at the expense line, it creates too many lines and we have to open every single one of those documents. Creating a bundle for each expense account should keep you organized and give you some efficiencies and ensure that nothing is missed. The same thing happens to us. It makes sure that we don't miss anything and that we review all expenses submitted. Please take the time to organize your receipts and provide the support for a bundle. It will just be easier for you to name and identify. And then all of the receipts should be entered in SAMIS in the order in which you have organized them. It will make the review a whole lot easier. I know the reviewers do a good job, but we have to get a little better at it. For smaller agencies, there is a simpler method to use. Instead of separating all of your bundles, you can just make one simple upload. This is a simpler but effective approach, and all it is to insert an account title page between the supporting documentation. The title page is then followed by the respective expenses. Using this format will allow you to make that single upload, but it allows us to review easily. The title page is the signal to the reviewer and the accounts payable specialist which account he or she is reviewing. It provides efficiencies for both of us. So let's support each other in the fiscal department. Let's talk a little bit of details on our accounts. Space and utility. As you know, your CAM should have already certified you on this line. Space and utilities should be divided by 12 even installments this year, unless you're a 10-month contract. Please know that there are some 10-month contracts out there. Please ensure that you review your contract to see what the term of your contract is. For all out-of-school time that collect third-party fees, we will continue to report the deduction of the third-party fees under the 1600 account, unless your program manager directs you to report it elsewhere. Remember, very, very important in your calculation for admin costs, that the third-party fees should be netted before you calculate your administrative costs. Very important to avoid that rejection. Also, when you report third-party fees, you must include a narrative at the summary level. That means at the very top in the main navigation, in the sub-navigation menu in SAMIS, where it says narrative. Just include all the details of the third-party fees collected. Your monthly administrative rate has been very challenging for us in the cost reimbursement environment. Please ensure, we repeat once more, your reimbursement rate is the sum of all of your expenses for that month. All. Two things we're going to net out of reimbursement, out of the admin rate cost. One, the third-party fees, and two, fiscal sponsor fees. Those are the only two items that should be netted before you calculate your administrative cost. Last, reporting the match. As you know, we give you the choice of how you choose to report your match. Monthly, quarterly, annually, it really is up to you. Best practice is that if you offer a salary or another position, that you report it monthly, but you may choose to summarize that quarterly and annually. Your CAM will come to you and we review the match when we see you. You do not need to send any backup documentation for the match. The same no backup documentation for admin and no backup documentation for space and utility. You've already been certified on all of those. That is the presentation. We will take any questions. We know this is very challenging. Please do not be shy in asking questions. This is our moment. We do not want to see rejections. We just don't want to experience that as we get ready to submit. Would anybody questions?
I have a question. You're saying that if we have a vendor that charges us a charge for using a credit card, we have to remove that charge and then multiply for the administrative charge? Do we remove that?
No. Your administrative rate is based on the subtotal of all of your expenses.
Right.
So there is all of your expenses. If you paid for it, it's an expense.
Okay.
The third-party fees do not refer to those convenience fees. The third-party fees are for the providers who collect parent payments.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
I realize we do have a mixture of programs here, and there are programs that have a sliding fee scale for folks that participate and they pay into our program some money. So those are third-party fees, not to be confused with any other fees that you collect internally. I know the admin rate has been very challenging for us. Just remember, the best practice that I found, and I had to file this reimbursement because I prepared the reimbursement in SAMS just to practice it. The best way that I found is enter all your information, all of it. And then once you're ready, you're sure, you have checked, you know all your reports are in, then calculate your admin fee. But I realized something. Some of you are not sending in a summary, a payroll summary, or a summary that really lets us know that you're calculating the right rate. So ensure you have to do this math somewhere. It has to be performed somewhere. So if you just send us that piece of paper, it validates that you and I are thinking alike. We know exactly where we're going with it. So please take the time to ensure that all your expenses have been collected, so that you do not miss out on admin fees.
We have a question in the chat. I'm going to come to you, Cherie, in one moment, but Alexandra and Ileana, if you could bring up the payroll schedule again for me. Alexandra,
Sure.
if you could talk through that again to just explain how to prepare your payroll schedule regarding for the personnel.
Oh, sure. We were talking about I saw that the supporting documentation required for fringe and benefits.
Yes, and also talk through the payroll schedule.
Okay.
And there's another one about the payroll register.
Yes.
Okay, let me bring some of those up so that we can bring them up as we speak about
Yes,
them.
you can go ahead and bring yours because we have the same
payroll.
documents.
Okay.
Okay, so can you please review the payroll schedule mentioned in the beginning regarding billing personnel? Yes, the payroll schedule is something that we do receive usually from our payroll department at the beginning of the year that tells us when we're going to have, the cutoff for the pay period or when it's going to have the payday. Like, for example, in the payroll schedule that we have there, for October, we have one pay period that starts on September 29 and ends on October 3rd. That also has another pay period that starts from October 4th and ends on October 17th. Those are the pay schedule that we have for the month of October, which means that we already have paid the September. Remember that we accrued up to September 30th. So we have 10% that will go for October 1st. And then we have the other pay period. And then we have the third pay period, which is also 100%, which is from the 18th to the 31st. That's what we are talking about. Sometimes we do have pay period that from the 1st to the 15th, those are the easy one. But remember, every single one of us, we have a different way that we are doing it. So that's what we are talking about, the payroll schedule. If I'm clear here, let's have question if there's anything that you need me to go further there before I move on. Like you can see, yes, it is okay for that part.
Did we answer that question for you?
Is there another question about benefits?
No, there was a
can't see
question
it
about the
anymore.
payroll register that I saw. review the payroll schedule, and that one says the payroll register must be uploaded in PDF and Excel or either. The payroll register, you will have it in PDF. It's the summary, the one that you said that how you calculated from what you have. That is the one that we need to have in PDF and in Excel. Whatever that you upload in SAMIS, we have to consolidate that to review your invoices. So that's the portion that we do need to know how you calculate that. We don't need to see extensive calculation, because let's say that I say 2 + 2 = 4. Somebody will tell me 3 + 1 = 4. And somebody else will say, hey, 5 - 1 = 4. We are all on the same agreement, but I don't have the same thought process. So I just want to know, hey, that's how you got to that point. We are doing it a different way, but we are having the same result. So that's the reason that we ask that that summary sheet, you can provide it to us in PDF for the file and in Excel, so we can follow how you did that. There was another questions, supporting documentation required for fringe benefits. Ilyana, can you go to the slides of the fringe?
Yes, let me
Yes.
find it here.
Here, that one. So we need to have, the first one is the proof of payment, which is the check that the company pays your provider, your healthcare provider, your workers' comp, your short-term, long-term. Those are the documents that we're asking. We don't need to have the whole document. We need to have those pertaining to the employee. See here, we only have those employee that we are billing the company for. That's the only one that we need to see. And you will show me the employer portion, which portion that your company pays for that person. That's what's being reimbursed to you.
That is something that we used to do during the audit. So now we need to upload it every month.
It is something that we will focus on and keep in there, because mostly remember that now everything has to be electronic, because we don't do the face-to-face and the hard copy. So every month you need to submit that. For this year, we have not really received a very good response on that portion. That's the reason that we want to emphasize that. Yes, you do need to submit that every month in your reimbursement requests. Okay, did we
just
need
adding-
proof of third-party fees? Yes, Ilyana, I'm sorry.
Just on the insurance, I understand people have different insurance rates. It might be where one employee is just, taking the basic, where somebody else is taking a lot more. If you feel that you need to prepare an insurance summary, please do so. We do have providers that cover all types of insurance, because after 10 years, they cover 95% and etc. And they provide a summary. So if it helps you arrive at the number that you're going to give us, please provide that to us, because we need that too, just for efficiencies. Realize each one of our providers has over 50 pages to review. So anything that helps you organize will also help us see through it. So we'll appreciate if you send that in as well. Next one was over, Alexander.
The next question was about the third-party fees. Do we need to have proof for the third-party fees? It is something that you have in your books. It's whichever way that your parents pays for it, or whichever way you collect your funds. We just need to have a summary that says that we have so-and-so that was in the program, and this is the amount that we collected. And that's the total that we are asking you to subtract. That's all that we need. We need to have a summary. We need to have the roadmap to know why you came up with that number and how you came up with that number. Is it clear, or you want me to explain more?
I want to go back to the benefits. I'm so sorry.
Go for it.
The way that we Voice Town is we're self-insured, and then but it's a lump sum that we charge for the staff that we have on each contract. So once we have that lump sum, can we send you the lump sum, and or do we need to individualize it? Because it's totally two different steps.
In a cost reimbursement environment in SAMIS, you have to report it per person, per position.
Okay.
So, and I can definitely show you what that looks like, Lorna. It's right here. And when
Right.
you...
I understand that we you know, we do it per person, but I know that when we put it on our books, it's in one lump sum. So I just wanted to make sure that, you know, because the lump sum that we put on our books is way more than what we even
Yes.
what is more than what we asked to be reimbursed. So I just wanted to kind of double check to make sure that I need to pull each individual staff's form every month to upload it, include it in all the in the paperwork that I'm going to be submitting. I just wanted to double check.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
well,
you.
if you pay on a monthly basis, if you that's what I mean, if you are requesting the reimbursement on a monthly basis, even though it's a lump sum, but you have to let us know, hey, that's a lump sum that I start with, and that's how much we build every month. So yes, we do need to see that. It's an example I can give you. You go to a store, it says that it's 70% off, but what is the initial price to have the 70%? Does it make sense what I said?
Yes, make perfect
Yeah.
sense. Well, like I said, I just wanted to make sure that I'm going to provide the correct documentation.
Thank
We
you.
are a phone
Just-
calls away, an email away, and yes, ask questions and make it clear as you want it.
I know Cherie has her hand up. You have a question for us?
I just wanted to add to the question on the workers' compensation. This is Kathleen Campbell, by the way. So if that workers' compensation was paid in lump sum, say in October, you're going to bill for it every month, but you could present that supporting documentation one time when it was paid. And then for the subsequent months, we don't require you to send that whole backup again for that one-time payment that was made. You can make a note in the narrative of your invoice that the support was presented in October, and you know, we will take it that way. Does that help?
Yes.
Thanks.
And then normally when your compliance accounting manager visits you, we will go through the workers' compensation allocation that you have performed for your budget. So it all goes hand in hand. That's why we also invited some of the budget creators to come along, because they create the budget and yet some of us are just billing for it, but we don't really realize what's in there. So please, right now, as we're starting this new year, take the moment to review what's in the budget. What's the administrative rate that's noted in there? Ensure that you have that down right. You know, it's not 12%, it's not divided by 12. It's specific to you and your program. Even budgets within the same agency have different administrative rates. And I know that because we had that happen this year. So even budgets within the same agency have different administrative rates. Please ensure that you know that, as well as the monthly amount for space and utilities too. It's not the same across all programs within the same agency even. So ensure that you're reviewing those specific details, line items.
Cherie, did you still have a question, or did Kathleen?
Yes, it's just more for clarification, because I know when it comes to the Comcast, it does give you advertisement, but because they have that little notification on the right-hand corner, 1 out of 3, most of the time I always get, where's the rest of my pages? And yes, they're advertisement, but they want to make sure and see anyway, even though you guys are stating no advertisement.
No, your contract, like Eliana was saying, it's a different contract. On the multiple contract that you have, it's not requested to all of the contract. One
Gotcha.
of your specific contract, that is the cost reimbursement that has to go to federal, that's the one that we do ask you all the pages.
You
The
got
same
it.
thing for your admin costs. On one program, you might have it that the way that it is split, it's per position or whatever it is, but on another one, it's a total salary
Mhm.
plus total expenses. That exactly illustrate what Ilyana was saying. Different contract in your agency have different supporting documents, the way that you have to submit them.
Okay, understand. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Something that often comes up, it's what's the difference between a payroll detail report and a check register report? Those are two very distinct reports in our systems, in the payroll system. One gives you the detail of all the hours, hourly wages, deductions, taxes, Some of them contain employee versus employer information, and you can extract those numbers from there. The payroll, the check register is a completely different report that gives us the payment that you've made to that employee. It's the proof of payment to the payroll detail report. The check register is the proof of payment to the payroll detail report. So two very different reports, and we still get them confused because we interchange their titles all the time. But I just want to bring that up so that you have that in mind. The check register report lists the check numbers, it lists the amount, it also lists the FICA taxes that were deducted from your employee. The payroll detail lists all of the internal back-end details. So if you need help figuring that out, because also some of you have, I've actually gone to agencies where their payroll system is set up by employee ID. And that's why Alexandra and Clarice are saying, please check your system, ensure that it's running by last name. All it is a click of a button somewhere that you need to just change the system to say, instead of sorting by employee ID, please sort by employee last name.
And one other thing also that we'd like to touch base is when you are reporting your expenses and you are entering into SAMIS, we have encountered many times that some of you enter A, B, C, D, or 1, 2, 3, 4. Clarice had mentioned it. You need to enter the real check number that's in there. If it's paid by a credit card, you need to have the last four digits of that credit card. You have multiple Amazon invoice or Home Depot, whatever it is, you need to tell us that the one that you are referring to is Amazon date, whatever, invoice number, whatever, or the amount. We need to figure out which one it is, because when you have 16 expenses all called Amazon, we don't know which one it is. And make sure that if you have different amount on one payment, that you circle it, underline it, so we know exactly which one to go to. If you are reporting your units, you enter your units into SAMIS, we need to have your unit of service report. Program unit of service report. The first one, I believe it's called activity. Ileana will go in detail with those, but just to remind you, those are documents that we do need to have in your reimbursement request that make it go smoothly.
Just to remind everyone, when we say at the summary level, we mean at the summary page level, at this level right here. Include your documentation here. Your documentation should look something like this: the signature pay, your payroll fringe benefits, and then all your expenses, and the program unit of service activity report, not activity detail. Please read back in the guidelines. It clearly states activity report. Activity detail is a completely different report for us. So please ensure you're attaching the right one. I'm actually going to attach the payroll and fringe benefits support in Excel before you right now, just so that I can show some of us that I still haven't figured out how to use this properly. When you click on documents, normally you'll land on this page. You click on documents, you add documents, and then this comes up. Remember, in SAMIS, only the asterisks need to be filled out. I'm going to split my screen by using windows and arrows to the side, just to show you. I'm going to upload the payroll detail in Excel, I'll say. If I could spell. You can drag and drop in SAMIS. It's just that easy. You don't have to click anything. You can drag and drop. When you hover over choose file, it changes colors. Let me do that again.
That was a beautiful tip, Ileana. We love that one.
Yeah, I'm so surprised. Learn to split your screens, because if you begin, whether we're doing it electronically or manually, let's say that you have this bundle of papers, you got to go to your printer, scan that stuff in, scan it already by a title of position, just like we would name it in SAMIS, already title it this way. And then when you have it on your file, on your Explore file, Just drag and drop your documents. One thing I did notice, you guys, is that SAMS, whatever you're uploading, it begins to drop it to the bottom. So I kindly took the time for the presentation to put my expenses in order. Do we expect you to do that? Maybe not. We would love it. I get so excited when I look into your SAMS and I see this kind of stuff. I normally write you a note about it, even congratulating you how beautiful it looks, because it makes life so much better. But drag and drop every document. This changes color slightly. I don't know if you could see that change of color.
Yes.
When it's ready to drop, but you don't always have to click, and then you just upload your document. I also want to show you that when you upload an Excel document, let's see, it's going to take a minute probably to upload here. Why didn't it work during my presentation? I don't know. Let me see.
Maybe it's a duplicate.
I don't know what happened. Let's see. Was that you, Bill? There it is.
There it
Yeah, it was
is.
a duplicate.
So when you upload items in Excel, we're able to pick it up in Excel, and you are too, not by clicking the blue hyperlink, but by clicking the blue Excel. When I click that, it automatically downloads on our end in Excel, and we could see your formulas. We can use the Excel sheet to provide efficiencies to us on the calculations. And also, if there are errors, it's easier for us to talk about it in terms of rows and columns versus this number over here, somewhere on page number 30 for those providers that have over 30 pages in one payroll report. So see, it opens up in Excel for us, just to show you the drag and drop in SAMS.
Ilyana, we had a question to go back over the expenses.
Okay. So
Which question?
do you want to?
It just says that I'm trying to say, can you please repeat the expenses, please? So I believe that I was talking about the way that you report your expenses, the way that you enter them into SAMS. So if you can go to one of the expense line and enter one expense, whichever one.
1600.
1600 is the biggest one, so we can do that. Here we go. See that perfect example for the Home Depot that Ilyana has, the two line on the bottom? They are on the exact same sheet, the exact same credit card, or they have the same invoice. So she just mentioned I'm sorry, they have different invoices, but under the same form of payment. So here she mentioned that what she's referring to is the invoice number 5419. The check total is the $36,000, but the amount that we are reimbursing, we are asking reimbursement to CSC is $900. So that's what we were saying. Most of the time, you report the exact amount that you are billing to CSC on both columns. We need to have the check amount, the total of that check. It's not influencing anything else in your reimbursement. You're just telling us that's the check that we have to look for. And that's the amount that we are asking CSC to reimburse us for. Do I answer that question, or you want me to go further, Anna?
Or is it more on the guidelines for the reimbursements that you were wondering? Anything in particular? No?
No, she was just asking to repeat about the expense, but yeah.
Yeah. Something that I noticed through my reviews when I'm doing the financial reviews, some of you think that a vendor's name, you use it as a categorization. So you'd say, instead of saying Comcast, which is your vendor, you'd say cable or utilities. Instead of saying Microsoft, you say technology. We don't need categorizations. We need vendor names, because in our internal audit, our auditors are coming out to us looking for that we reimbursed you for that Comcast invoice and nothing else. So please do not categorize. List your vendor's name.
We have a question from Visaya about salaries. She said, is it necessary to fill out the salary and fringe payments section below the individual position on the salary and wage page? Or is it sufficient to just upload the supporting documentation?
If you don't upload the information to this page, then you can't get reimbursed for it. That your reimbursement report won't capture the expense. Is that the question?
Yeah, I am not
think-
100% sure, but I think that she needs to explain a little more. She wanted to ask for that.
I think she's probably asking about the payroll summary. Or can she just upload the sufficient support and documentation? Does she have to fill out the payroll summary?
Well, how am I supposed to arrive at those numbers?
Okay.
If you don't give me a payroll summary and you have 3 payrolls and 17 employees. You must have done something to arrive at that number. With the number you're going to enter here for 3 payrolls from Mariana Grande. So you have to have made that math somewhere. Please share it.
Okay, we have a
Okay,
question from Lauren. I'm sorry, Clarice. Question for Lauren about the expenses. And she said, if we have several expenses paid by the same check, for example, Walmart and Sam's Club expenses, all paid on the same check to Sam's Club, do we need to include a copy check with each receipt?
No.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so I was basically going to say the same thing. No, you don't have to submit a copy of a check for each receipt, but make sure that once you upload the information, you have the invoices, then the check. That way we know that that one check goes for all of those invoices. And also in SAMIS, you're going to have the same check number. So we would know that it's the same check for all of the expenses.
I'll bring an example up that we have actually. Oh, no, it's not here. But I will share an example with you. Hang on, let me see if I can bring it up.
Just for you to know, somebody wanted to have a screenshot. Don't worry about it. You will have the presentation, so you'll be able to go back.
We'll
to
provide the
it.
presentation to you.
Yeah.
I do have
Visaya said that she just wanted to know if under the section you can fill out the payroll, there's a drop-down menu. No, that's you just enter it in SAMIS. You enter per position, but you do need to have your summary that has everything in there. And that answers Pat's questions. Yes, the presentation will be emailed to everybody.
Okay, here's an example of a credit card statement, one credit card statement, several invoices attached to it. In our guidelines, it says to circle, underline, highlight, just throw me a bone, send me a signal. You know how many lines we have to review? Help me help you. So just even a check or a highlight. And then here's my credit card statement, or what do you call it? What's the other word? Not for, they use
transaction history.
Thank you. Transaction history report. And after it, you begin to put your invoices with it. Here's $110.
Ileana, before you move forward, I wanted to touch on something concerning the credit card statements. We have a lot of agencies that would say to us, our credit card statement is not available yet. And that's fine. All we need is a transaction history from the bank account. You don't necessarily have to wait till that statement is available. You can simply just go on your online banking and print out a transaction history with those expenses.
I see Lorna.
Yeah, I have a quick question because ours is a little bit different because all of ours, everything that we do go to Omaha, and we don't readily have access to those statements. So what I do, I print out all of our allocation to show that we did pay them and send that showing that it was approved. Is that still okay, or do I need to go ahead and get that from Omaha? Because that's going to hold up our invoices, because there's this timeline in which that we can submit, and that's going to hold it up.
Lorna, you are not alone. There are several agencies that have the same corporate style setup that you have. And you're absolutely right. You would have to wait sometimes 20, 25 days for corporate to release that to you. Please work, you're an exception to the norm. Work with your accounts payable specialist to ensure that we receive what we consider sufficient support and appropriate support for your expense. But yes, we will work with you and jump hoops and we'll do whatever we need to do, but we need to also ensure we're meeting compliance. But yes, we understand this is not a cookie cutter thing for any one of us. Every agency is absolutely different. We all do things differently. So understand these are just best practices coming before you. Maria, I see your hand up.
And I'm sorry,
You just had it up for fun.
No. I thought somebody else started talking. I think I've been doing my credit card transactions incorrectly. I have been putting a total for what I want reimbursed in that category for that credit card. Do I need to list each one of those itemized?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Well,
I'll do that from now on.
not like five items within one receipt, just per receipt.
Right. Okay, but yeah, sometimes I have 30 or 40 receipts on the credit card statement. And
Yes.
you want them itemized. Okay,
Yeah, do not itemize every credit card receipt. No. Oh, you mean within the one
It's
credit?
Miss-
Yes,
within
yes,
the
yes.
one
It does need
statement,
to
there
be-
might be
yes.
30 or 40 transactions on that one
Yes.
statement in supplies.
Yes, each one must
So-
be itemized because each one buys
Okay.
different things for different line items. It might be something from 1,600 versus 80/20 or value added. So yes.
Well, what I
good
was
practice.
doing, well, I'm sorry, what I was doing was I was taking all of the 1,600s and making it one total for that category, but that's not what you want.
Yes, no, please itemize per receipt, per
Okay.
purchase instance. Also, I think that Alexandra and Clarice were saying you do not need to upload the same credit card statement for the same 5 charges. And then if best practice is to upload the payment form first and then followed by the receipts. Because when you review, okay, here comes a new payment form, here's what was paid with that, versus just running into an invoice and then 10 invoices later, you're supposed to remember that the first one was the one that's being paid. It gets confusing, even for your reviewers internally. I know they can't be performing the review as well as we could be, because it's just all over the place sometimes. So please.
Okay.
One
have
thing I
one
want to remind you, Zaya, I'm sorry, Maria, about what you were saying. On your 1,600, if you have your summary that says that I'm taking this percentage from my Comcast for this, I'm taking this percentage for shredded for this amount. If you give us that, because those are the supplies that you are buying for your working, it's not like you are doing individual purchases. You are explaining to us that you have on your 1,600 the how they call that, the word just don't want to come to my mind. If you're functioning payment, like you have your utilities. Yes, so that's a different way to do it. Let's say that you have multiple Walmart receipts, that you have multiple Amazon receipts. Those are the ones that really need to be itemized. But if you are having, like the one that I said, the 1,600, that you have the payment for Comcast, the payment for shredded, the payment for the storage, you just have to tell us that's the original amount and that's the percentage that we are billing to CSE. That's the one that we need to see.
Okay, then I have another question now because of you guys' answer. Our credit card contains items from 1,600, which is supplies, and also I think it's 80/20, which is like mini grants and that type of thing. So do I need to, what I've done in the past is I've made one bundle that was, these are 1,600 expenses, and that's what I scan and send to you. Do you want the credit card statement in the bundle for 1,600 and for 80/20? Or do you want me to do the credit card statement as a separate upload so that it's by itself?
You're gonna upload what belongs to the 1,600 with the 1,600, because on your credit card statement, you
Including
have
the
multiple
statement.
pages. So you're gonna have all your 1,600 bundled with the 1,600 receipts or invoices.
Okay.
A copy of the pages that has the 80/20 bundled with all your 80/20. And I'm glad that you
Okay.
mentioned that. We do have some provider whose bundles their upload by check. all the expenses that they have under that check, even though it's 80/10, 80/20, or whatever it is, they're just bundled by check. It's easier to bundle by category. The way that you just mentioned, it is a good way to do it. So you
Okay.
have one copy in one category and one copy in the other category for the pages that are related to each of them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I see Cherie and then Lorna. Cherie, do you have still a question, hon?
I believe that they were already
No, I
up.
was done. Sorry.
Okay, no, awesome. Keep your hands up.
Okay, so Barney asked if she can do a bundle as zip files. Yes, we will accept the zip files.
Yes, I actually saw somebody who uploaded an email in email format as support. That's not appropriate. Please do not upload emails as support. Your internal communication is not support. I actually saw, Samus will take that, but please do not use emails as support. Just
To
one thing is,
respond, hold on, I'm sorry, Liana, to respond to Lauren's question, it's proof of payment, then the backup. The best way to do it is how it is in SAMIS. We do have it from left to right. So we read it that same way. So you have the payment, the description, and the amount. So yes, if you upload it, we have the proof of payment, how you paid for your expense, the receipt or the invoice, and the amount. We do read it from left to right. So yes, it is a good way to do that. And the same thing also for the payroll. For those who are loading the payroll, SAMIS already has a summary for you in all the positions and all the names. If we have that same format, it's just for us to follow one line to the other. So it's a good way to do it. Follow the format that is in SAMIS because that's the format that we do review it. Hope I answers your questions on that.
I have a hint for you guys in SAMIS as well. Your payroll detail and your check register are in alphabetical order by last name. When you build your summary to CSC, build it so that you have everyone listed in alphabetical order by position title, because I've discovered that all of SAMIS is sorted by position title, not the position ID number we see here. It's this title. So if you can learn to build your summary of payroll and fringe benefits by position title, then that immediately mirrors your SAMIS entry. And I'll show you what I mean by that because we had the example of. Let me open this one up. And so it helps a lot, especially if you have really large programs, to build that summary already using position titles is golden. It saves you a lot of time. Here's my summary. And where's my SAMIS? Program manager. I built it by position title: lead success coach, counselor, administrative assistant. That's not by position title. It's doing it in position ID in this one. I never realized. Never mind. There's, it is by position ID. I apologize. It is position ID listed.
What if
in
you click by
SAMIS,
position?
yeah, in SAMIS, you can have that to change any way
Yeah,
that
you
you
can
like.
sort.
You can sort it.
You can sort. Yes, that's another thing, you guys. You know that you can click on these position titles, but the second that you either hit the detail button or back to summary, it unsorts it back again. But yes, there are some efficiencies in SAMIS.
I have a question. My question is, we don't write checks for our staff. All of them are EFTs. So we don't have check numbers. We just have a detailed report of what is paid to them. There are no check numbers attached. So you're saying check number. So
No, not for payroll, for expenses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. No problem. Thank you.
There's 110 of you. Anybody? Something comes to mind. Don't be shy. We all have the same issues. Trust me. For those programs that are very large, Bill, I know I heard you in there. I know this is challenging, you know. If there's anything we can do, and I know that you work hand on hand, with Alexandra and Clarice, but if they're, you know, Lorna, if you have these outliers that we understand, everyone has a different setup. But we'll work with you.
I have a question. This is Maxine from Handy. We do pay utility bills for our clients. Can you explain to me what is current period? For instance, you know, the light bills are always
Behind.
time-wise apart, maybe in September 15 to October 14. What is my deadline, or what is my current portion period that I can pay a utility bill for that client?
Alexandra, or would you like to take that?
So Maxine, that would be flex
Yeah.
funds, emergency assistance.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we really don't have a time on that because actually you're trying to help the person who may have had an overdue bill. So we really don't have a timeline on that. But it must be within the current fiscal year.
Not in the current month, because I've had, I think, rejections for like a past due bill, maybe saying that it was August, and I know received the bill maybe in September or October. Can I pay that past due bill in October?
Yes. Under flex funds you can, because you're assisting the client with that emergency need.
Oh,
Because that's the difference with the flex fund. We are paying past due. We are helping somebody that is behind. So those are special consideration. We are talking about expenses that you are having for your current program. Flex fund has a very special category that we do need to have different way to approach it. There's a question about the payment, the expenses paid by EFT. You have a payment by EFT, you have also a transaction ID. You will use that, and you have a copy that it went from one individual to another one, from one company to the other. So you have a copy of that. But Maxine, to answer your question, flex funds is really a different category. So we do need to approach it differently.
no, okay, because I've had rejection for that. So
it's okay. We are all working
moving
on
forward,
it.
then I can communicate to the staff that yes, we can pay past due, delinquent FP&L bill, water bill.
You
all of that.
always seek approval from your program manager and your fiscal person. Always seek approval, because that happened. We do have exceptions. So you always seek approval, and then we'll work with that. There's a questions, I'm sorry, about career source. If we have one line item that is over the budgeted amount and another line item that is under the budgeted amount, and both are in the same category, can we be reimbursed for the line item that is over the budgeted amount?
Yes.
I think we need more specifics
explanation.
on that.
Yeah.
And what do you mean by category? And because we wouldn't, I mean, we pay by budget, right? So you couldn't go over the line item if that's what you're.
Stay within the same.
So if you can provide some more clarity.
1600. Hi, it's Career Source. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay. I have the fiscal team here. They can further explain if we need to further explain. Is that where we're going? Further explanation?
Yes. So are you asking within the same expense line item, right? Within
Yes. So we have
1600,
1600, yes.
right? And you originally told me that you were going to buy $200 in pencils and $300 in background checks, but now you need a little bit more in pencils than you actually did in background checks. Can you do that? Yes, absolutely.
It's allowed. Okay, great, thank you.
So it would be within the same budget line.
In the same line item.
It's allowed, But yeah, if it were to go to another budget line, like, you know, you had used all your dollars on line 1600 and now you wanna buy something on the flex fund that really belonged in line 1600, that would require a budget amendment.
We do have a questions. Can you explain again what is needed regarding health insurance?
Just your invoice and payment, proof of payment. The invoice that shows you the name of your staff members that are receiving the health benefit. It's going to say Liana, Alex, Clarice, and then proof of payment that you paid it, that you paid, you know, $16,000 that month for the entire agency's health cost. Invoice and proof of payment.
Eliana, this is also another obstacle for us because of the invoicing date in order to submit on time, because our month does not close right at the end of the month. So when we're invoicing and we have to have the invoice by the 10th, all of our payments are not showing on our books and all of our payments have not been finalized. So we won't have all of this backup information. Can we submit that at a later time? Or should we hold off on the invoice and do it for the following month? I'm just trying to make sure that we have everything that you guys need in order for the invoice not to be rejected. So, and I know everything is due at a certain time and we need to have that 30-day time frame or whatever, but I know that we won't be able to have all of this documentation in by the time we have to submit this invoice.
I haven't seen your paperwork in a long time, Lorna, but I know you were pretty straight up because I remember those reports. Yes, please work with one-on-one with your accounts payable specialist.
Okay.
You know,
And I just wanted to add to that the purpose of us asking for you to submit your invoices within that 30-day window is to ensure that we don't pay you twice for an expense. But we do understand that, you know, services will be provided in a particular month and you're not billed until the following month. Now, you wouldn't be able to submit that invoice for reimbursement until you have paid it, right? So you would leave that invoice for the next month's invoice. We don't want you to hold up the October invoice because one receipt, you didn't receive one pay, you didn't make one payment. You know, send through the October invoice and put that document that hasn't been paid, that service that hasn't been paid on the November invoice. We understand that. What we do not want is for you to have paid and made a payment for an October expense in October. You forgot all about it, and then come January, you are asking to submit. You know, we now have to go back to your October invoice to double check that we didn't reimburse you in October for that expense that you want to claim in January. So that's the whole reasoning behind that 30-day turnaround time with invoices. But we do understand that there will be exceptions. And as I said, if you haven't paid it, you can seek reimbursement for it. So wait until it's paid and put it in that month's request. Any questions? I see our
Same as Nicole Carter.
Carter.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
I just wanted to clarify, with salary and fringes, that's one category by itself, correct? So one of my questions that I saw Career Source was asking about, if I have a line item of, let's say, a lead teacher, and that line item has, I don't know, X amount of money left over in it, but I have another lead teacher whose line item is running out of money, I can add that teacher to that next line item to use that funds because it's the same category?
It's the same position, yes. You
Okay.
can do that.
And you will include that in your narrative log. So we know why you did that and how you came up with that number.
Okay. All right, thank you.
That is correct. There are times where we will have one position being worked by 2 staff members. You must indicate to us that there are 2 payrolls attached to the drawdown of that one position. Please show us somewhere that you're reimbursing the program manager position for Alicia and Kathleen. And somehow both of them worked it. That should be part of that payroll summary. That's when you kind of give me a clue. Tell me who's on it. Who are you drawing down for? You know, very important too for you to keep your SAMIS updated because it keeps you organized. How do you know what counselor you're charging when you have 50 counselors in front of you? Please ensure you learn to navigate SAMIS for those larger programs using position IDs. When you
And see,
prepare
like Eliana is saying, when you have those larger companies and we don't have any name next to the position, Clarissa and I, we have to manually go.
Oh no. You froze, Al.
It's better now because it's been frozen for a moment. It says internet is unstable, but we are pushing through. So like I was saying, sometimes we have those large names and we don't have the larger request, but we don't have a name attached to it. It is for us a hunt. We have to do on a scavenger hunt to know that amount that you're billing for, it is referring to that person. So we have to go and enter those names in our review sheet to know that.
No. No. So yes, Excel is our friend. Alex, you got cut off there at the end, but it looks like you're back now.
Yeah, the internet is going up and down. But I was saying that help us to help you. So give us your roadmap so we can help going along the way.
Question as we look to close shortly in about another 15 minutes or so. I know the cost reimbursement is new for many of the providers. How has that been? And is there anything that we can help you through with that? Any feedback on that process? Silence mean it's going great?
No, they're just shy. They're just shy. I see you, Maxine Brown Webster.
It takes a lot of organizational skills to gather your information, but it's okay. Once you have that down pack once, it's just smooth sailing. I have another question. What is acceptable for, I'll go back again to utility bill. I've always requested, and I guess I was told that a detailed bill is due, not a snap of, of a front page of a bill that just shows that this amount is due. I've always requested a detailed bill of the light bill. It shows the individual name, the period of service, the time period of service, and also the address of that client. Because when we do call it into FP&L Assist, those are required information that they have always asked. Is that required, a detailed bill? I just want to make sure that I'm communicating this correctly to the life coaches so that I'm always.
Maxine, I'm so glad you asked that question, and thank you for looking out for our taxpayers' dollars. These are, and I'm going to share the screen here. Value added and flex funds are cost reimbursement lines. Of course, value added, we get all kinds of stuff for our programs. With the flex funds, is a little bit more delicate. There are programs that use an internal form to approve value added flex funds. But yes, Maxine, it is controls over financials. You're dispersing cash for someone when you choose to pay their light bill. So internally, I commend you for asking for the details. You do not have to send those details into CSE. You keep those because when I come out to visit, which I'm not your CAM, but if I were to come out and visit you when I come out annually, I'm expecting to see that. Because that's the control, that we're not just dispersing cash all over the place, right? I have a couple of examples here of internal flex funds form that are used. Normally, in a flex fund request, there is a narrative of hardship. Some agencies, the case manager or coach writes the hardship statement. In some agencies, they actually request the client to write the hardship statement. If we are paying utility bills and leases, I don't need a copy of a 60-page lease, but I would like to see the lease where it states the name and the address. What is the control in place? Think about it that way. Your financial statement auditors are looking for pretty much the same controls we're asking for. Our guidelines are not much very different than what payroll controls should be like. We're just looking to see that they're in place. But yes, Maxine, great question, because we do not need you to send that in to us monthly. The program manager to monitor your program, to monitor perhaps some of the clients that you have at the time, they may ask you to please submit all support for flex funds with your reimbursement. But normally what we need is the receipt, an internal form of approval of the request.
Yeah, we
Does
do
that
need
answer
the,
your question?
we need the
Sorry.
bill to go with it. So if you do pay a light bill, you have to provide the proof of
The
the
light
light
bill,
you pay.
yes.
Now,
Yes.
in regards to what you're doing for the family and the forms that you have them fill out, your compliance manager, when they come out annually to do your review, they will go through the details of it. And maybe your program manager will ask, but if you're doing anything for flex funds, you must have the receipt to show exactly what you pay. It must coincide directly with what you're seeking reimbursement.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. We ought to be able to tick and tie those numbers really quickly when we're reviewing your reimbursement. So give me a hint, highlight, underline, circle, whatever it is that you need to get us to get there. Value added and flex funds, both same. This is a program that uses the page style, but here's the listing of their flex funds. Here's the internal payment. It's a check for $9,000, but obviously only one receipt was paid with that check. So yes, internal communication between fiscal and program folks is really important. This is normally where things kind of fall off if we are not constantly communicating. Or what I see happens is that we get to the month of September and then you realize you're sitting on thousands of dollars that your program manager never really got a chance to spend. So it's very delicate to manage that internally for you guys.
We have a retention form question. That's a program service question. Kathleen, Alicia, you want to? My internet is going crazy.
What's the question?
Yeah. Is the retention form still required? Just really sure.
What is the retention form?
Yeah,
Can you
that's a
explain what that's
programmatic.
used for?
That's a
That's it.
program service form.
Okay. So we'll get back to you with that answer unless there's a program services personnel on the call. I thought I saw Meg. I'm not sure if she's still here.
Good morning. This is Fern.
Hi, Fern.
Hi. The recruitment retention form is a PYD form that we require them to submit so we can help with recruitment and retention. So that is still a requirement.
Yes, so it's required.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Thank you, Fern. This is Jill. I see the question came from ASB, and it is something that most does as well. So it's something that's required since we're currently cost reimbursement. So it will still be required.
Thank you, Jill. And there's also a question, well, a comment in the chat that says it's better, especially for budget to actual. And yes, cost reimbursement definitely is better for, you do not have to do that budget to actual anymore. If you're on total cost reimbursement, if you have units still in your budget, you'll still have to do that.
I see you dancing, Maxine Brown. Yes, if you operated in a cost reimbursement last year, you do not have a budget to actual due this year. Your actual is your reimbursement, or your reimbursement is the actual.
So I have the month of November to myself?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, you're gonna have to crunch numbers now, all of November.
Yep.
That's exactly right, it is.
All right.
Is there
Yeah.
anything else? Anything we can show you in SAMIS? Any questions you may have? This is the time. I'm also going to put the link for our reimbursement guidelines. And Ileana, if you have the PowerPoint ready, if you could drop it in the chat also, so they can get a copy of that.
Will do.
I don't remember if the team touched on match, but that we currently are asking you to deduct the third-party fees. Sorry, that wasn't match. The third-party fees at each line item where there are dollars. Come January, we'll be moving up to SAMIS 3.0. And we have a functionality in SAMIS 3.0 that will now take care of the third-party fees. So for the months of October to December, you'll still be deducting at the line item, but come January, we will change that. So please be on the lookout for that. Thank you. Back to you, Alicia, to wrap up.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm
Alicia,
having a
you're on mute there.
Yes, I didn't realize I'm having a full-blown conversation. Yes, I'm putting the link now for the guidelines inside the chat for you. And any questions beyond this, I'm also putting my email. Let's do this. Please reach out to us, and for the recording that will also be available. If you have anyone that may have missed this, you can also reach out to us and we'll get this over to you. Okay.
I'll share the PowerPoint in PDF with everyone so that you can share that, especially if you have new staff members that join you. Please remember SAMIS training is ongoing with Shawanda. You really should not have your staff member start testing SAMIS without any preview to it or prior training. Also, take the time right now that we're at the beginning of the fiscal year to terminate all of those who have left our agencies, are no longer working with us. Let's terminate their access to SAMIS. We do not want them hanging around, but we will be sending the reports to you on who's being reported in your SAMIS shortly, because we're about to begin our preliminary interviews for monitoring again. So we'll be speaking with you guys in a short amount of time in the next couple of months, and we'll be looking at that again. But if you've terminated someone and they previously had access to SAMIS, let's go ahead and send a termination form to the help desk.
Okay. So everything is in the chat. Elena, just drop your chat, your presentation, I'm sorry. And with that being said, again, I truly appreciate you taking the time to attend today. And I really hope moving forward, especially for this fiscal year, the process is a lot smoother. And any questions you may think of after, please be sure to let us know. And just know we're here working together as a partnership. We're here for you, and we'll work through whatever your situation is. It's not cookie cutter for everyone. We don't live inside of a box. So definitely reach out to us if the circumstances you're not able to do what we've asked. Okay, so please communicate with us. And you have it, Elena?
I'm going to share the PowerPoint really shortly. And for those shy ones that want to just hang back, I'm going to stay back a couple minutes to answer any questions if you didn't want to speak in public forum. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Dr. Johnson, thank you for joining us.
Everyone.
It has been a blessing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Godfrey.
Good job, ladies.
Thank you so much, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everybody. Happy Halloween.
Hey, Ileana, this is Jill.
Hi, Jill.
Hey, I'm not shy. I just had a question. If you could send the PowerPoint, because we're gonna send the recording out in our monthly newsletter that goes out on the 1st of the month. So if you send me the PowerPoint, we could include that too.
Sounds good. It's actually here right now. And I think somebody needed to stop the recording. Let me go ahead and see if I have that.